Most traders think money is made by clicking faster. But the biggest trades in history were made by people who waited. Not minutes. Not hours. But until the market came to them. This is why waiting is profitable in trading. There's a story told quietly among old traders. Not the kind you see on flashy thumbnails. No lumbos. No screenshots. No shouting. It's about a trader who once said that his biggest profits didn't come from thinking harder. They came from doing less. He would study the market before sunrise. Mark his levels. Close his notebook. And then he would wait. Hours would pass. Days sometimes. Other traders around him were busy. Entering trades, exiting trades, re-entering again. Their screens were full of indicators. Their minds were full of noise. But this trader stayed still. He believed something most beginners refuse to accept. The market only pays patience. He understood that price spends most of its time doing nothing meaningful. And that forcing trades during those moments wasn't activity, it was donation. So when nothing aligned, he did nothing. And that's the part most people can't copy. Because waiting feels uncomfortable. Waiting feels unproductive. Waiting feels like you're falling behind. But he knew a secret. He knew that waiting filters out bad trades. Waiting protects capital. Waiting keeps emotions quiet. He wasn't trying to predict the market. He wasn't trying to catch every move. He was waiting for one clean moment. When risk was small. When direction was clear. When the trade made sense without hope. And when that moment finally arrived. He didn't hesitate. Because patience had already done the hard work. This is why beginners burn accounts. Not because they lack intelligence. Not because they lack indicators. But because they confuse movement with progress. They believe trading is about action. Professionals know it's about selection. In trading, every click is a decision. And most decisions lose money. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is active discipline. It is choosing not to bleed during noise. So you can strike during clarity. That's why waiting is profitable in trading. Not because it feels good. But because it keeps you alive long enough. For the market to finally pay you. And now, let's break this down, step by step. 1. The market rewards stillness. Most beginners believe trading is about being active. They think the more they trade, the more chances they have to win. But the market doesn't reward activity. It rewards timing. Legendary traders understood something early. Price moves with long periods of boredom, interrupted by short moments of opportunity. Those moments are rare. The problem is not that beginners don't know how to enter trades. The problem is they enter when nothing is happening. The market spends most of its time ranging, chopping, testing patience. This is where accounts slowly bleed. Not from one big mistake, but from many small, unnecessary trades. Professional traders learned to respect this phase. They would sit in front of the screen and do nothing. Not because they were lazy, but because they were selective. They knew that every trade taken during uncertainty increases emotional noise. And emotional noise leads to poor decisions. Waiting keeps the mind clear. When you wait, you're not guessing. You're observing. You're allowing the market to reveal its intention instead of forcing your own. You're letting structure form. Letting price show direction. Letting risk become defined. This is where patience becomes an edge. Most people think patience means hesitation. In trading, patience means precision. It means saying no to average setups. It means ignoring movements that look exciting but offer no clarity. It means understanding that missing a trade is cheaper than forcing one. Legends didn't trade every day. They traded when conditions were right. They waited for alignment. Trend, level, behavior, and timing working together. And when that alignment wasn't there, they protected their capital by staying flat. No loss is a position. No trade is a decision. The market will always offer another opportunity. But capital and confidence are not unlimited. Waiting preserves both. This is why professionals survive long enough to compound. And why beginners burn out chasing action. Trading is not about how often you trade. It's about how few mistakes you allow. Stillness removes mistakes. Waiting filters chaos. And the trader who can sit calmly while others rush is already ahead before a single trade is placed. 2. Boredom is a signal. Most people think boredom in trading is a problem. They feel uncomfortable when nothing is happening. They start scrolling charts, switching time frames, adding indicators. They mistake boredom for inefficiency. But experienced traders see boredom differently. Boredom is not a lack of opportunity. Boredom is a sign that the market is not ready. Legends understood that excitement is expensive. The more excited you feel, the closer you are to a bad trade. That's why professionals aim for calm. If a setup doesn't feel obvious, they wait. If it needs convincing, they pass. The market doesn't require constant engagement. It requires presence. There is a difference between watching and waiting. Watching is restless. Waiting is controlled. When boredom appears, it's often because price is stuck between decisions. No clear direction. No clean structure. No asymmetric opportunity. This is where most losses are created. Beginners try to escape boredom by trading. Professionals sit inside boredom without reacting. They understand that boredom filters impulsive behavior. It exposes impatience. It reveals emotional dependency on action. Waiting through boredom trains discipline. Every minute you don't trade during uncertainty is capital protected, confidence preserved, mental clarity maintained. Legends didn't chase movement. They waited for imbalance. They allowed the market to compress, stall, and frustrate others. Because they knew frustration creates mistakes. And mistakes create opportunity. Boredom is the market shaking out weak hands. It's a test. Most traders fail not because they lack skill, but because they can't sit still while nothing happens. They confuse silence for absence. But silence is preparation. When boredom dominates the screen, you're being given a choice. Force a trade and pay tuition. Or wait and stay ready. Professionals choose readiness. They don't need to feel entertained. They need to feel aligned. And when the market finally breaks the boredom, when direction becomes obvious, they are calm, focused, and prepared. Because they didn't waste their energy reacting to noise. Boredom didn't weaken them. It sharpened them. This is why the best trades feel boring before they pay. And why the trader who can embrace boredom is already trading like a professional. 3. Patience protects capital. Most traders think profits come first. They focus on how much they can make. Professionals think differently. They focus on how much they can avoid losing. Because capital is not just money. It is opportunity. Legends understood that every unnecessary trade damages capital twice. Once financially. And once psychologically. A small loss creates noise. Noise creates hesitation. Hesitation leads to poor execution. Patience interrupts this chain. When you wait, you reduce exposure to randomness. You avoid trading inside uncertainty. You allow probabilities to shift in your favor. This is why waiting is not neutral. It is protective. Markets move in phases. Most of those phases are unpredictable. Only a few offer clarity. Professionals wait for those few. They are not afraid of missing trades. They are afraid of damaging their edge. Capital preserved today is leverage tomorrow. Every time you sit out a bad setup, you keep your risk small. You keep your confidence intact. You keep your judgment clean. Beginners often trade to feel involved. Professionals trade to be precise. This difference compounds. Losses don't usually come from one big mistake. They come from erosion. Too many trades taken without reason. Patience slows erosion. It gives you space to think. It gives you room to breathe. It allows you to separate market movement from emotional impulse. Legends didn't rush into the market. They waited until the market invited them in. They understood that trading is a long game. And survival is the first requirement. No strategy works without capital. No edge survives without discipline. Patience is the gatekeeper of both. When you protect capital, you protect your ability to stay consistent. You protect your ability to learn. You protect your ability to grow. Waiting does not make you passive. It makes you selective. And selection is where professionalism begins. The market doesn't reward the most active trader. It rewards the trader who lasts. Patience is how you last long enough for skill to finally matter. 4. Why the best traders look inactive. From the outside, professional traders often look inactive. They sit quietly. No constant clicking. No emotional reactions. To beginners, this looks like hesitation. Like missed opportunity. But inactivity is not absence. It is control. Legends learned that the market punishes those who need to feel busy. The urge to act is often the urge to relieve discomfort, not to execute an edge. Most market movement is meaningless. Price fluctuates without intent, direction, or commitment. Professionals learned to ignore this. They understood that action without confirmation is exposure. And exposure without clarity is risk. So they wait. They allow the market to form structure. They let levels prove themselves. They observe how price behaves, not just where it goes. This is why they appear inactive. They are not reacting to every tick. They are filtering. Beginners often confuse frequency with experience. They believe trading more will teach them faster. But repetition without quality only reinforces bad habits. Legends traded less, but with purpose. They accepted that most days are not trading days. That most setups are incomplete. That discipline often means ending the day with no trades. And that's where the real work happens. Inactivity protects emotional balance. It prevents impulsive decisions. It keeps execution clean when opportunity finally appears. The market rewards readiness, not restlessness. Professionals don't rush because they know time is on their side. They don't fear missing out because opportunity is infinite, but capital is not. When conditions align, their execution looks effortless. Not because the trade is easy, but because the waiting removed doubt. From the outside, it looks like patience. From the inside, it feels like certainty. This is the paradox of trading mastery. The better you get, the less you trade. And the less you trade, the more each trade matters. Inactivity is not weakness. It is restraint. And restraint is what separates professionals from those who mistake movement for progress. 5. Waiting builds confidence, not fear. Many traders believe confidence comes from winning trades. They think once they make money, confidence will follow. But experienced traders know the opposite is true. Confidence is built before the trade, in the decisions you make when nothing is happening. When you wait, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you are not controlled by impulse. You prove that you don't need action to feel validated. This matters more than profit. Fear grows when traders feel out of control. When they chase price. When they enter trades they didn't plan for. Waiting restores control. Each time you skip a bad setup, your trust in your process increases. Your rules stop feeling theoretical. They become real. Legends didn't rely on courage. They relied on preparation. They waited until the trade aligned so clearly that fear had no room to speak. Fear comes from uncertainty. Waiting reduces uncertainty. When you rush into the market, you carry doubt with you. You second-guess exits. You hesitate on stops. You overreact to noise. But when you wait patiently, execution becomes calm. You're not hoping the trade works. You're accepting the risk. Confidence isn't loud. It's quiet. It doesn't need reassurance. It doesn't need constant feedback. It comes from knowing you followed your rules, even if the trade loses. That's the difference most beginners miss. Winning without discipline builds ego. Discipline without winning builds confidence. And confidence lasts longer. Waiting trains emotional stability. It teaches you that the market doesn't owe you anything. That opportunity must be earned, not demanded. Legends trusted their edge because they respected the wait. They didn't feel fear because they didn't force outcomes. When a trade finally came, they were calm, not excited. Focused, not desperate. Because confidence was already built. Long before the entry. Waiting doesn't make you afraid. It removes the reason for fear. And the trader who trusts his patience will always outperform the trader who relies on emotion. 6. Waiting turns randomness into probability. Most beginners experience the market as chaos. Price moves up, down, sideways, often without warning. Wins feel accidental. Losses feel unfair. That's because randomness dominates when patience is absent. Professionals experience the same market differently. Not because they predict better, but because they wait longer. Waiting changes the nature of risk. When you trade too early, outcomes are random. Price hasn't revealed intention. Structure hasn't formed. Participation is unclear. You're flipping a coin. But as time passes, randomness compresses. Patterns become visible. Levels gain meaning. Behavior repeats. Waiting allows probability to replace hope. Legends didn't enter because price moved. They entered because price confirmed. Confirmation doesn't guarantee profit. It reduces uncertainty. And reducing uncertainty is the trader's real job. Waiting lets you see how price reacts, not just where it goes. It shows you who is in control. It exposes traps before you step into them. This is how probability is built. Each filter you wait for removes weak outcomes. Each condition you require increases asymmetry. Professionals aren't looking for perfect trades. They're looking for skewed outcomes. Small risk, larger reward, repeatable logic. That only appears with patience. Random trades feel exciting. Probabilistic trades feel boring. But boring is where consistency lives. Beginners trade narratives in their head. Professionals trade evidence on the chart. Evidence takes time. Waiting allows fake moves to fail. False breakouts to reveal themselves. Weak momentum to fade. It's not about being late. It's about being certain enough. Legends knew that being early feels smart. But being right pays. Probability favors the trader who can delay gratification. Who allows the market to speak first. Who doesn't need to be involved in every move. Waiting doesn't eliminate losses. It makes them logical. And logical losses don't damage confidence. They are part of the plan. This is the shift that separates gambling from trading. Randomness belongs to the impatient. Probability belongs to the disciplined. And waiting is the bridge between the two. 7. Waiting is the hardest skill. Waiting sounds simple. But it is the most difficult skill in trading. Anyone can learn entries. Anyone can learn indicators. Anyone can place a trade. Very few can sit still when nothing is happening. The market constantly tempts action. Every candle looks like an opportunity. Every movement whispers possibility. Waiting requires resistance. Legends weren't special because they knew more. They were special because they resisted more. They resisted boredom. They resisted ego. They resisted the need to be right. They accepted that most of trading is saying no. No to average setups. No to emotional trades. No to forcing meaning where none exists. Waiting is uncomfortable because it removes distraction. It exposes impatience. It reveals insecurity. But this discomfort is where growth happens. The trader who can wait is the trader who can follow rules. The trader who can follow rules is the trader who can execute consistently. Legends understood that discipline compounds faster than profit. They didn't try to outsmart the market. They tried to outlast it. Waiting taught them humility. It reminded them that the market is larger than any opinion. That timing matters more than intelligence. This is why waiting separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs ask, why am I not trading? Professionals ask, is this worth trading? That single question changes everything. Waiting creates clarity. Clarity creates conviction. Conviction creates calm execution. When the trade finally appears, there is no rush, no doubt, no need for confirmation. Because waiting already filtered the noise. This is why waiting is profitable. Not because it creates more trades, but because it creates better ones. And better trades don't require force. They require patience. Waiting is not weakness. It is mastery. And the trader who learns to wait will discover that the market rewards those who respect its timing. If there's one lesson to take from all of this, it's not about charts, indicators, or entries. It's about restraint. The market doesn't reward those who rush. It rewards those who respect timing. Waiting will test you. It will make you feel behind. It will make you question yourself, while others seem busy clicking and reacting. But remember this. Most of the money lost in trading is lost during moments that never needed a trade. Waiting keeps you out of those moments. It protects your capital. It protects your mindset. And most importantly, it protects your ability to stay in the game. You don't need to trade every day. You don't need to catch every move. You don't need to prove anything to the market. Your edge is not speed. Your edge is patience. The traders who last are not the most aggressive ones. They are the most disciplined ones. And discipline starts with waiting. So the next time you're watching the chart and nothing is happening, don't feel pressure. Feel prepared. Because the trader who can wait calmly while others force trades is already ahead before a single entry is placed. If this message helped you slow down, if it reminded you that patience is a skill worth mastering, take a second to like this video. Share it with someone who's rushing the process and needs to hear this. And if you want more calm, disciplined trading lessons like this, stories, mindset, and clarity over hype, subscribe and stay with the journey. Trading is not about doing more. It's about doing less, better. And sometimes, the most profitable decision is simply waiting.